Welcome to the Big O Money Show. Bill Altman here with the Premier Advisory Group, Tony Shore co-host. Thank you all so much for tuning in. What a week. Huh? We got thunderstorms. We had almost a snow chance. We had temperatures like wonderful. And it's all over the place. We get it all here in the Big O, Tony. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, it's for once, the weather has been crazier down there in Omaha than it has up here in Minnesota. I mean, it's actually been pretty mild, and we've missed the last couple storms went through down there. I know they hit my hometown of Worthington, but they never got this far north, so we haven't seen snow in a while. And now we're in the 50s, so
yeah. Who knows? Is it the calm before the storm? Are we going to see it?
Yeah. Well, March is usually March on record. March is the snowiest month in Minnesota.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but we haven't had any yet, and we're supposed to hit 60-degree Sunday. So people are thinking, and the problem is it's deceiving. They think spring, but then the end of the month we could have a full-on 1.5 feet of snow and a blizzard.
Well, my weatherman degree.
Sure.
I did take the snow blade off the truck. So what does that mean?
Ooh.
Blizzard. It's coming, folks.
You did that probably to bring it on.
I would love it sitting that boy. I got a flasher on top now. I put on top, and Danielle's like, "You're the goofiest person ever." So truly, I am.
You put a flashing light on top so you can for your snowplow for your truck.
Well, I got to be seen.
My gosh, you're into it.
Safety first, Tony.
Safety first. Yeah, I don't know. I know you love helping people. You've done this all your life with their finances, but I don't know. You're like a kid in a candy store in a storm where you can go out and plow driveways for your neighbors and for friends and for some seniors and people you work with and your parking lot there. You go for it, and you've never been happier. And I know what happens if you have a blizzard. It'll be Andrew on the show hosting, and I'll go, well, where's Bill today? Well, it snowed. I'll be say no more. He's out.
You hear me dropping the blade out top. Yep, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Lock them in. Lock those hubs, baby.
Yeah.
Get the temperature on and go.
I can't believe you already took the plow, the snow plow off the front, the blade off the front of the truck.
I can get her on easy enough, but
yeah,
we need some moisture, so I took her off.
Yeah.
Kids home from college for a spring break. Wonderful. Fantastic.
Oh, awesome. Both from Tennessee and Auburn.
Tennessee and Auburn. I'm sporting the Tennessee today. And
I see that.
Next week I'll sport the Auburn. Love them all. Not like Coach Prime where he just loves one more than the other. I love them all. But wild news. Obviously, we've had lots of conflict, geopolitical, right? There's tons of stuff going on overseas.
Yeah.
With Iran and Israel and the U.S. and it looks like we've decimated, for the most part, Iran. Hopefully there's freedom. Hopefully that has kind of propped up a new potential era of freedom of some sort out there. I don't know. Holy wars have been around forever and ever, though. So don't ask me. I really don't know. We can hear all we want to hear from all of our sources online or just in local media or national news, international news. How well can we trust that? Grain of salt, I would say, right? So a lot of times we do have to continue doing what we're doing on a daily basis without too much fear of that. The fear is, of course, always there. And we know that. Anytime there's weapons involved and craziness involved and nukes and everything else going on, of course there's going to be fear. So you just trust that that our U.S. military is going to keep us safe. Trust in God that He's going to keep us safe during again our season of Lent as we prepare for Easter. Right. So lots of stuff going on. We're also seeing, people thought the gasoline prices would super spike, and we definitely have seen the cost of oil go up. We don't know how far that's going to go up, but it does seem like the drillers aren't drilling as much as we thought they would.
Yeah.
All right. Or some of the analysts thought that we would really be trying to pump a lot more out in order to ease that. And that hasn't eased yet. We've also seen bond prices, 10-year Treasury creep back above 4%. So that's popping up a little bit as investors really try to start filling into a little bit more safety and looking towards that. So we've seen that happen. So inflation worries are there. They're on the table. They've been on the table. We've talked about it for years. They have eased back off a little bit, but mortgage rates look pretty solid. Mid fives, 5.56, I think, was the national average this week on a 15-year fixed, and 6.11 was the average on a 30-year fixed. On an ARM, a short-term adjustable rate mortgage, like a 5-year ARM, it was right in the mid fives as well. So again, whatever works best for you. I'm a big proponent. If you're going to take a mortgage out, I like the fixed. I love the 15s personally because I don't like debt. But the 30s are out there also. And again, the rates are fairly similar, 5.56 to 6.11 on a 15 versus a 30. So those have come down nicely. Could we see them come down a little bit more? We could, but we'd have to see probably the Fed lower rates also a little bit. And we'll see that. So as inflation picks up steam a little bit, we might see the Fed step in and potentially lower rates. So we'll kind of see how that plays in. But yeah, bonds have gotten bruised up a little bit. Morgan Stanley lays off about 2,500 employees, which led to roughly 3% of their workforce. Again, some locational shifts too. So this is moving people around and what I call trimming the fat. 3%, 2,500 is a big number. It's a lot of people, but again, it represents only 3% of their workforce.
Right.
So we have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of times when you enter the corporate world, or if you're in the corporate world, you'll understand this, that there's a lot of people that, as chairman says, so they'll hide in the closet, right? Or they'll kind of talk around the water cooler for a while. And so really it's like a warm body. And sometimes warm bodies were strategically put in because we needed warm bodies. Right. And during the COVID times, that was important. And then companies, they trim fat. So again, they went on a diet. They're taking the shot. They're doing the Ozempic.
Yep.
They're doing whatever it's called. And they're doing the shot and they're trimming fat right now. They're leaning out and they'll go through a cycle again of hiring. So this isn't something where Morgan Stanley's going away. Morgan Stanley, I don't believe, is in trouble by any stretch. It's just trimming 3% of the workforce, and a lot of it was geographic moves, different things like that. And then again, probably, that's headlines. We'll talk about that, but you can dig deeper in, and probably the people that aren't pulling their weight, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, companies have to trim dead weight once in a while, especially big companies who have thousands of employees. To trim 3% isn't the end of the world. This happens, and we've heard about this happening a lot. I mean, the bigger the company, the more you're going to hear, oh, Amazon laid off 2,000 people. People are like, whoa. But it is what it is. It's just restructuring, or they consolidated a couple of warehouses after looking at logistics. There are so many things that go into it. And I know that for the families of the people laid off, it's a serious thing. But as far as how it affects the overall economy and our finances, and should we all be worried about that? Absolutely not, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't think so. You always want to make sure we're approaching with caution. We're cautiously optimistic about how we're investing and where we're investing. But yeah, we're talking about a very big player in the financial world, in the global financial world. So
yeah, Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, concerns not so much there. Credit markets like Blue Owl, for instance. I mean, there's concerns on credit markets, certainly, right? And so that's something to kind of always keep our eye on. BlackRock has put something out recently showing that. So we're seeing a little bit more risk on that side, but again, fairly normal. And now you're talking about more of an alternative investment, even though we can actually buy stock in this, right? But it is getting on the more alternative side of what some of these companies are doing. And so there's always going to be a little bit more risk when there's more reward. So we have to think about that. So the space of fixed income, maybe not necessarily this week, but the space of fixed income, I think is still a decent play for safe, unless we believe interest rates are really going up or they're going to spike. And that's your risk on fixed income. If you're holding fixed income currently at a 4% treasury and the treasury goes to 6% or something, well, your 4% is not going to be as valuable. So you'll still get your same 4% coupon rate, right? That yield on it, but your value of the bond is going to be less. So in order for you to recoup the full value of the bond, you have to wait till maturity, or you have to wait till interest rates come back down. So anything above that, I'm going to call it for the sake of the show and what we're talking about here, that 4%, anything above that, your principal will be down. And anything below that 4%, your principal is going to be up. So where last year we saw really nice returns in the fixed income space, we're seeing, 6, 7% and above returns, across the board, not just with us, but across the board. And again, this does not predict what's going to happen in the future by any stretch whatsoever, nor am I suggesting that you should invest in this. But as for a space for safety, it's not a bad play because we're still seeing a decent coupon rate.
Yeah.
Right? So that's safe. And so for so long, we saw very little interest being produced from the bond or from a CD or from a money market. And then we saw them spike way up, and now we're kind of seeing them settle back down. And that 10-year Treasury right around that 4% mark is a fairly healthy level for the economy from what we believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like in 2022, bonds tanked, and a lot of fixed index things weren't great. But then we saw that area increase, and now pretty great. So, like you said, though, this isn't individual advice. This is just looking at the broad picture, and it depends on people's individual personal situations, which is why I know you and the team there at Premier Advisor, that's why you want to meet with them and offer the no charge strategy session or consultation, right?
Oh, yeah, everybody's individual needs and desires are totally different for the most part. And your situation might call for something completely different than your neighbor's situation. And it might simply just be your risk tolerance. And so to find your risk tolerance, you would get your what we call a color of money risk analysis, your COMRA. You can go onto our website. You could go to bigomoney.com. Up in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see get your risk score. You can click that and take a little 11-question quiz there. Very simple, takes hardly no time at all, and it'll pump you out a score. And it scores out of 100, 100 being the riskiest and 0 being the least risky. And typically people fall right in that middle to upper middle, right in that neighborhood based on, but some people are less, and that's totally fine. So you could have the same account as your neighbor and the same amount of debt as your neighbor, but have a completely different risk score. You could have same everything, but you would just rather be like Will Rogers and have the money under your mattress. Might be a little lumpy, but it's going to be there. You know where to find it.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's huge. That's true. But you have to keep up with inflation, so you have to earn something on the money, and it can get tricky, especially as you get closer to retirement or in retirement, and that's where you come in. That's why you need a trusted financial services professional.
Oh, it's so true. Absolutely. Again, you come in, and we're going to talk about the facts, but we're also going to talk about the feelings. How do you feel about markets? How do you feel about your family, your kids? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? We're going to talk about desired income, your income goals, all of those type of things that really we try to back into your strategy from there. So instead of creating the strategy and coming up with this wonderful portfolio of stocks and bonds or whatever it may be, and presenting that and say, Tony, you should really buy this. It's more of a that's useless unless we know exactly what you need and what you want, what you desire, your risk, and all these different things, and how your spouse feels about it. What do you want to leave for a legacy, if anything at all? I don't recommend trying to bounce your last check, but believe it or not, people will tell me, yeah, Bill, I'd like to bounce my last check. Well, it's kind of tough sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to bounce it at the wrong time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no one knows the date or time when they're going to pass. So it's hard to bounce that last check and yet still make sure you don't run out of money in retirement. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, that's a fine line and an almost impossibility to juggle. You'd have to get very, very lucky. I think you'd have to be luckier than it's winning the lottery, right? I mean, it's a very slim chance there that you can bounce your last check. But a lot of people say that. A lot of people think that.
Yeah.
And it's true. You can't take it with you. Somebody once told me, you know what you'll never see, Tony? You never see a U-Haul being towed by a funeral hearse, right? Yeah. So you
And
can't.
we're custodians, right? I've
Yeah.
said this so many times. I talk about it in our meetings here with our staff. We're people can think about it the way they want to think about it, but I'll never forget what a client told me one time, that we're just custodians of what we have
Yes.
here on earth, right? It goes somewhere else. We don't, like Tony said, we don't take it with us. There's not a pile of gold packed in the hearse that gets in and puts in our casket and we get dropped with it, right? It just doesn't work like that. And so we have to be good custodians of what we've been given, is really this God-given life that we have, and what we've been blessed with, and or not blessed with, right? But how can we be better stewards of that, of that blessing, and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing for generations and generations? We help out with that. We make sure that you're treated fairly on the tax side, and you're taking every advantage there. Julie, it's tax time right now. It's very important to Julie that you are getting what you deserve. We pay enough in taxes, and most likely at nearly $40 trillion in debt, we're only going to be paying more taxes in the future. Will they reduce Social Security? That threat's been there forever. I've been seeing this on statements since the early 2000s on Social Security statements, in the front page, right side paragraph. I'm just thinking right now, looking at one in my head, and I'll never forget. It says when the trust fund is going to be running broke, when it's going to go out, when it's going to go under. Will they eliminate? Will the current president of the United States allow, or Congress, will they allow it to happen where they reduce Social Security so bad that it harms the majority of American people that rely so heavily on these Social Security benefits? Or will they rob Peter and pay Paul?
Right.
Will they try to find a way around it and kind of pull the wool over our heads? Have we not seen that before?
Yeah.
And I think we will continue to.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's a great point. So, for our listeners out there, I think a key thing to remember also is if you're watching the news cycle right now on your phone or online or 24-hour news channels, it's always the sky is falling. You got to keep your emotions out of it, but yet be prepared. Plan
Right.
for the best, prepare for the worst, work with professionals. Don't DIY it or make panic decisions and pull everything out to cash, put it under the mattress, like you say. It's going to be a little lumpy, and you're going to lose to inflation if you do that.
Right.
So,
And nothing wrong with having some cash, right? Nothing wrong with having
yeah.
gold, and nothing wrong with having all these different pieces. And what we call that is just simple diversification. That's all that is. Or like my dad would always say, run to money. It's that money at the bank where, you can go over to Wells Fargo or Core or Cornhusker Bank or whoever you bank with, and you can make that withdrawal right then and there. We call that run to money. You can get that right now. We can get off the radio show and go to the bank and withdraw money, hit that ATM and take it, right? Where it might take a couple days from your brokerage account to get that out, or longer if it's in a 401k. It's even going to be more cumbersome. So, why do people roll their 401ks out when they can, and they roll them to a traditional IRA? A lot of times it's flexibility, and another big reason, it's fees. Typically 401k administration is more expensive than a traditional IRA administration. We can roll it over without taxes. A lot of times, most companies post age 59 and a half, you're able to do what they call an in-service non-hardship withdrawal out of that account. So you can continue to work at that company. You can take a withdrawal from your 401k or transfer it over. Really, it's a transfer over to a traditional IRA, no taxation, no penalty on that. And now you have flexibility, able to invest it, and typically at lower fees. Maybe not always, but typically we see it's at a lower fee. And and people do like flexibility. I had a client recently tell me they called in, he's still working, he's a business owner, been very successful. He called in for a distribution at one point over the last year or so. And he said, hey, not a huge rush or anything, but, he was like, hey, markets are high and I could actually use some money for this project I'm working on. So I'd like to take a distribution. How long do you think before you could get it? And so we made a couple calls into the back office, and they said, well, let's go ahead and get this liquidated today, and we'll distribute it tomorrow, and it's done. Sure enough, that sale got made first. That sale got made immediately. It settled for a day, and then it hit his account right away. No fee to get that out whatsoever. Zero fee for him to take that out. He just had to pay taxes on it, whatever the portion of that he had to pay taxes on, right? Of course, typically can't get around that side of it. But that's the key, is that flexibility, that quickness, swift, and he'll continue to tell us day in and day out. He remembers that time that he made that call, and then within a day or so, he had money sitting in his account. It's not the same as run to money, where I run to the bank and grab what I need that next minute, right? But that's not bad turnaround time. So a lot of people will use that as a reason of why they're transferring from that 401k over to their IRA, as long as they can be smart about it. It's retirement money. So you got to be careful about making sure that we don't go through our retirement money too fast, right? So it has to fit within the plan, of course. And Uncle Bill here will tell you if it doesn't.
Yeah.
I have no problem having the come to Jesus meetings and saying,
like, hey, if you take this money out now, you might run out of money in retirement, or it's going
to lower what you can withdraw later safely. Yeah. And I always remind people, but it is your money. So if you want your money to do whatever you want with, it's your money.
Yeah.
But I will help you manage that emotional risk of it, because we all want a new boat. Maybe not everybody, right? Or a new horse. Tony wants a new horse, for instance.
Right.
Tony, unnecessary there in Stillwater.
Yeah. Well, I like to do the barrel racing with the horses. I do barrel racing and jumps,
Oh, yeah.
I'm quite the equestrian. The equestrian. You know that.
Good. Yeah, Tony. Anybody that wants to watch Tony on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I grew up on a farm with horses.
How about that?
What's that?
Tune into the Big O Money Show.
The Big O Money Show.
That's how you find Tony on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's how you'll realize, if you're watching us and you see the show and see me, you'll be like, yeah, he probably shouldn't be on a horse.
Tony, you're a good looking fella. You're a very slender human. Very nice.
Well, and I don't look a day over 59, do I? I mean,
you sure don't, birthday boy. You sure don't. As our good friend Corey Sickles said, happy birthday. And he published it for the world to see.
On multiple social media platforms. I don't know why. He called me out. He said, you're turning 60. And he went on for a couple of minutes about my birthday. And
he really one-upped us, I think. One-upped us.
He tried to one-up you, Bill, but he just... I was a little shocked. I mean, I thought it was fun and funny. He did the video, and then I was kind of surprised that he posted it on his own Facebook page, my Facebook page, Instagram. It was all over the YouTube.
I think he just likes seeing himself. But
yeah.
Put that there.
He's a good-looking fella. He likes to see himself. Yeah.
One final note before the show ends. We're going to end here just shortly. We are seeing really good again money on guarantee rates. We're seeing some of our multi-year guarantee annuities still paying in the 5% range on a fixed basis, guaranteed rate every year. We're also seeing some fixed index, really nice 5-year short-term, 9% upfront bonuses, no fee, 6.75% S&P 500 cap. And we're seeing some wonderful buffered index strategies as well, with really good principal protection and really nice upside. So again, give us a call right here at the Premier Advisory Group, 402-557-6730. Again, 402-557-6730. And you can always find us at bigomoney.com.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Bill. That does it for today's episode of the Big O Money Show with our host, Bill Altman.